Welcome to this webinar series on San Antonio's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. This series has been developed by the Office of Sustainability to support the launch and implementation of climate action within the city government and provides focus bursts on key topics related to climate action within San Antonio. This is the second session in the series and focuses on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and social equity. This session introduces the core tenets of San Antonio's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, also called the CAAP. In this session, we describe the interconnected relationship of climate mitigation and adaptation strategies. We also discuss the relationship between climate action and social equity. And we highlight a tool that's available for all city staff to help you advance climate equity in your day-to-day work. Launched in 2019, San Antonio's CAAP, titled SA Climate Ready, provides a vision and roadmap for municipal and community action in three core areas: climate mitigation, climate adaptation, and climate equity. Importantly, while it's called a climate action plan, the strategies bring together a number of San Antonio's core agendas to advance resilience, equity, climate hazard risk management, and also integrated strategies that reach across departments. You can find more information about the CAAP online at sanantonio.gov and sasustainability.com. Climate change mitigation is about measures taken to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, or GHGs, that contribute to global climate change. As we described in the introduction burst, San Antonio City Council has committed to reduce the city's annual greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2050, becoming effectively carbon neutral. The CAAP sets out a number of key actions within 6 broad strategies, focusing on increasing carbon-free energy, reducing building energy consumption, reducing transportation energy consumption, advancing circular economy principles to retain the value of materials, promoting biodiversity and healthy ecosystems, and also focusing on how municipal staff and the broader community can learn and take action. We described the sources of San Antonio's greenhouse gas emissions and pathway to carbon neutrality in another webinar session. 2 examples of where San Antonio is already taking action are the Energy Efficiency Fund and Builds San Antonio Green. Between 2011 and 2018, the Energy Efficiency Fund completed 409 projects within 187 municipal facilities, resulting in $1.5 million in avoided costs. In those municipal facilities, there's been a 16% reduction in electricity consumption. Next, more than 7,800 building projects, including single-family homes, multifamily, mixed-use, and commercial properties, have also been certified through Build San Antonio Green since 2001. The overall efficiencies of these buildings has prevented the release of over 225 million pounds of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and has led to a reduction of 13.5 megawatts in peak energy demand. As a companion to climate mitigation, climate change adaptation is about taking measures that reduce the human, man-made, and natural infrastructure and financial impacts of climate-related disasters. The CAAP sets out a number of actions within 7 broad strategies, focusing on increasing infrastructure resilience, strengthening public health systems, enhancing emergency management and community preparedness, promoting, restoring, and protecting green infrastructure and ecosystems, protecting local food security, increasing resilience awareness, and ensuring equity is central to climate adaptation action. We described the current and future climate impacts to San Antonio in another webinar session. As some examples of action, the Tree Canopy Preservation and Mitigation Fund has invested $13.8 million since 2006 in support of tree preservation, tree planting, and educational activities. And this helps improve air quality, mitigate extreme heat impacts, and manage stormwater. It also helps to capture and store carbon, support biodiversity, and improve the quality of life and property values. The city's participation in the Bear Regional Watershed Management Partnership has enhanced coordination between regional partners, resulting in more efficient distribution of resources to address flood control needs in San Antonio's watersheds. From the success of this program, the partnership is being used as a model for future flood control planning efforts by the state of Texas. As a result of the investment in water conservation, San Antonio has benefited from $762 million in avoided costs associated with water and wastewater demand. These prudent investments continue to improve resilience, support water security, and help prepare San Antonio for the future. Climate change affects everyone, but not all people are impacted equally. A climate equity framework prioritizes the communities that are burdened most by climate change, those that contribute least to climate change, and those most socially vulnerable to it. Climate equity ensures that these communities play a central role in the just transformation of the systems that have established and continue to perpetuate the unequal burden of climate impacts. Some of the people most vulnerable to the impacts of climate hazards are low-income communities, communities of color, seniors, and people with disabilities. Some of the risk factors include increased vulnerability to illness, reduced ability to move to safety, high exposure to environmental pollution, lack of representation in local government, and lack of financial means to prepare for, endure, and recover from impacts. This is not just a one-off, but a burden that individuals and communities face again and again, and have been burdened with for generations. The city is committed to taking strong action to ensure that climate action advances climate equity in San Antonio. The ethical framework grounding the CAAP is a focus on climate equity. It acknowledges that San Antonio's history has produced social inequities that, if unaddressed, will worsen with climate change. Equity means that our policymaking, service delivery, and distribution of resources account for the different histories, challenges, and needs of the people we serve. Equity differs from equality, which treats everyone the same, despite disparate outcomes. And it's critical to ensure that we understand the root causes, social factors, and biological factors that make someone, or some communities, more sensitive and vulnerable to the impacts of climate hazards. SA Climate Ready is part of a bigger shift towards normalizing and institutionalizing equity within our city government. The City of San Antonio is committed to ensuring climate equity in the implementation of climate action and adaptation strategies. To help all departments with this goal, the city created a climate equity screening tool. This screening tool will allow the city to identify potential burdens to vulnerable groups, reduce and eliminate these burdens, and find opportunities to improve quality of life for vulnerable groups. You can find more information about this tool within the Office of Sustainability or online at SA Climate Ready. This session got into details on the city's climate action and adaptation plan, focusing on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and social equity. Other sessions in the series provide more information on the climate impacts the city faces today and in the future, the sources and trends in the city's greenhouse gas emissions, and how all staff and departments can contribute to moving climate action forward in San Antonio. Thank you very much. For more information on this or any other session, please contact the Office of Sustainability.